Hi, we're back in segment 2, class 3 of setting limits and building cooperation. And this segment is about how our children signal for help. So one way you can look at a child going off track is to interpret it rather than as manipulation, or you've got a crazy kid, or there must be something wrong with them, or there must be something wrong with me. You know, the way you can reinterpret it is by going, oh, my child can't think. They're asking me for help. Their behavior is a signal. I can't think. I need someone to come in, bring a limit, and help. And there are various typical ways that children signal for help, and I just want to name them so that you can recognize them. These are very regular, very dependable signals. So the first one, I would say, is probably what we call the broken cookie signal. And that is that something tiny happens. You know, a corner falls off your child's cookie, or a button falls off the dress of their dolly, you know, or their little brother just touches some favorite item that they have, or, you know, a sibling grabs the chair next to daddy and they want to sit next to daddy and no other chair will do. Not even a chair on the other side of daddy will do. So these are tiny little things and they trigger really big feelings. And what this means is that your child has done as much playing and flexing and cooperating and understanding and being patient and having a good time as their mind will allow. And there's no brain space left for any more of that. Right now, any little thing triggers the stored emotions that your child has that they need to let go of before they can flex again. It's kind of like, you know, they need a daily poop. They need a daily poop to flush out the pieces of good, nutritious food that they ate that are not digestible. That, you know, not all food is digestible. You know, there are good parts your body can use, and the other stuff, there's a process for it. There's a process for getting it out of the way so the body stays healthy. Same thing with emotions. You know, they use up all the energy they have for flexibility and cooperation, and maybe that's 5 minutes and maybe it's 5 hours, but at the end of that time, you know, the cookie breaks, or they can't get their sleeve through their jacket, or their homework paper tore, or you didn't dry their soccer shirt on time, and all of a sudden they're huge feelings. That's the broken cookie signal. There's another signal called the spoiled outing signal that you can set your watch by. Things are going well, you're really paying attention, the family is humming along, and all of a sudden, again, some little tiny thing happens that brings huge feelings. But everything was fine, everything was better than fine, better than usual. You know, maybe you went to an amusement park or to their favorite park and played their favorite games, and you ran all over and played tag, and you chased, and you did underducks on the swings, or you helped them practice their pitching, and it was going really well, and you were really synced together, and then it's like, oh, you know, we got to get home in time for dinner, pick up your jacket, and all of a sudden it's like, you never do anything I want to do. And it's lots of feelings pouring out because you've built so much sense of connection that they now feel, or the instinct that wants them to be clear of stored feelings goes, wow, you know, your dad's really on today. He's really with you. He's really listening. He loves you. That's all very clear. Now it's time to work on all those times when it felt like you couldn't do what you wanted to do. So all of a sudden what goes out of a child's mouth is, you never let me do what I want to do, when in fact you just had a 2 or 3 hour time when, you know, you did whatever they wanted to do and you did it right with them. So that's kind of a signal of, it's not that things are, you know, going poorly right now. It's that I need to clear out the storehouse. I've got some more gunk in here. I really don't want to be disappointed at all, but I have these stored disappointments. So that's the spoiled outing. I remember one friend of mine who grew up, was a single mom. She and her daughter they were on welfare for several years. There was no money coming in from the dad, who had just, you know, walked away and left them. And so they never had extra money. But I think for her 9th birthday, the dad sent $100, which was a huge amount of money in those days. This is a long time ago. And they'd never had such a little wad of money to spend. So the mom spent, $40 paying off the dentist, and then said, okay, you've got $60 to spend. We can go anywhere you want. You can get whatever you want. This is your money, and let's go shopping. And so her daughter got this and that and the next thing and the next thing, and the $60 was spent, but she wanted to get a shirt, a t-shirt for her friend, her best friend, who just moved to New Mexico. And the mom had to say, sweetie, we don't have any more money to spend. I'm so sorry. And her daughter stood there with her arms full of packages in the middle of the department store and just burst out crying, Mommy, Mommy, I never get to buy anything I want, with her arms full of packages. And I think the way the mom understood this is a spoiled outing, incident, was, there's no way to cry about not having very much until you have much. And then you can cry about how it was. So here was her daughter, arms full of evidence that today is a different day, and now is a different situation. Right now I have much. Able finally to cry about, I never get to have very much that I want, and it was perfect. And most parents would misinterpret that of you ungrateful child. But what's happening is the instinct to heal, as soon as things get better than usual in one area, the instinct to heal says, let's let go of those feelings about things not being very good in that area before. So after you've loved your child well, when they cry, they may be telling you, you don't love me, you love my little sister better, Or, right as they're about to go be in a school play, their very first time because they've been scared before, they may tell you, I can't, I'm way too scared. And you need to listen to this as a report from the past. These are the feelings I'm working on. I actually feel strong enough finally to tell you that I have these feelings. Withdrawal is another way that children signal for help. Rather than tell you something's wrong or complain in any way, they just sink back and they suck their thumbs and they kind of shut down the sparkle in their eye and park their mind in some vague, fuzzy place. Or they twist their hair, or they feel their blanket, or they reach for their pacifier and pop it in their mouth and really blur out. And that's a signal. It says, I can't think, I have no initiative, I feel powerless, and here I'm going to sit until you can figure it out. Another signal for help is aggression. Anytime your child lashes out, is hurtful, says something hurtful, or does something hurtful, or does something impulsive that is hard on another child or hard on a pet, you've got a child who's scared. Aggression is the sign that a child is frightened on the inside and doesn't feel safe to tell anybody about it. They feel frightened and alone with that feeling. And so the only signal you have that they're scared is that they are hurting someone else, hurting themselves, hurting a pet, being harsh in some way. So, and there's a final signal that I'll say here about what happens to children when their behavior goes off track. And this is the one, I don't know, this one is, it's so interesting to watch it happen. This is the stop me signal. This is the time when your child is sitting right there in the living room with you and you're there doing your knitting or you're shelling your peas or you're folding your clothes. So you're there, but you're preoccupied, your attention is somewhere else. Your child looks at you, you look at them, and they walk over and they do something you've told them not to do 100 times. They walk over and they stick the screwdriver in the light socket, or they walk over and they yank the cat's tail, or they walk over and they, grab the dirt in the planter and they, let it go on the carpet. They walk over and they bonk their little brother on the head. It's funny, when the first time when we were trying to figure this approach out and how you listen to children and how you help them offload the hurt that that comes, in a child's life almost every day from things being not very understandable and happening too big and too fast. The very first time that we noticed that there was a stop me signal was this one time when we decided, the children all had tricycles and they're outside. We had this school at my house. They're outside, motoring up and down the driveway, and some of them were starting to bang their trikes into the garage door. And we said, we talked about it. We thought, are we going to let them do that or are we not? And the teachers talked about it after the first day that it happened, and we said, no, we're going to tell the children, no, you can't drive your tricycle into the garage door. So, excuse me. So the next day, Jesse hops on his trike, and he was motoring over to the garage door, and I moved in, I brought the limit, I go, Jesse, we're not going to let you, bump your trike into the garage door. We're not going to let anybody do that, okay? So I bent over, brought the limit, and he, goes back down the driveway, looks at me straight in the eye, and keeps his gaze right on me, and tricycles right into my legs. It's like, okay, how's this? And when children do stuff like this, they are not trying to make your life hard. They are not trying to push your buttons. They are not, you could call it testing, but I think what it is that the instinct inside of them that wants to find a connection can't find it. It's like you're there offering it, but they're already not thinking enough that they can't make that connection. There's already enough feeling in the way that they can't receive what you're offering. They can't feel you there. So what they're saying to you is, you may think that we're in the same space, and you may think that we are connected, but I'm telling you we're not. Here's how I'm telling you. So this can happen at the dinner table oftentimes. It used to happen at our dinner table all the time, where you get all the people in the family together, and the expectation of the parents is, we get to sit down and relax and enjoy food. And what happens to the children, because both parents have been reading the paper, out in the garage, fixing the car so that it runs tomorrow on the way to work, making dinner, answering the phone. So there's been not very much connection for the last half hour, and then everybody sits down and children are kicking, or they're, elbowing each other, or they're throwing their food, and it's not playful. It's like, our bodies are here, but we don't feel connected to you. Here's the news, kick, kick, throw, throw, scream, scream. So those are some of the ways that children signal for help. And we also signal for help, but we are a little less blatant about it. When we get restimulated, when our feelings get kicked up and we're feeling resentful of parenting, we're feeling hurried, we're feeling worried, we're feeling really tired, we're feeling like, oh my gosh, I just, not one more thing. When those are the feelings or other feelings we're having are beginning to flood our system, we know it on the inside. Our voices get short. There are certain behaviors we do. There's certain ways we hold ourselves. There's certain set to our faces. And there are certain feelings inside that it's really good to learn to recognize. It's like, oh, I'm starting to feel like these children will be the death of me. I have that thought often. And then to go to your listening partnership and see, why do I think these children will be the death of me? Why is that the thought that comes to mind? And look back, did anybody tell you that you were going to be the death of them? Most likely someone did. Most likely someone told you those exact words, probably more than once. Why do I think I should have never become a parent? Why do I think that? Was that something that was said to you when you were a child? Do you suppose that your mother or your father, voiced that during a moment of stress? Because the things, the exact phrases and the exact things we do with our faces and our bodies when we are upset are almost always a pretty accurate representation of what was done and said around us or to us when we were children. And if you can go to a listening partner and just kind of dig around in your memory for who might have said that, who might have put that message in your mind, because it would not be there if someone hadn't placed it there. That feeling of hurt wouldn't be there, without some experiences leading up to it. So we do have our own ways of going off track, and we do have the thoughts that run through our mind, the repeated phrases, the repeated feelings, the repeated fears, and that's really good material for your listening partner. In the meantime, while you're getting used to a listening partnership and using it to release the feelings rather than run through them again and again and again, you want to do some preparation for your moments of restimulation, which then will wind up being hard on your children, because you'll either have to remove yourself in order not to be aggressive or harsh, or you won't remove yourself and you will be aggressive or harsh, or some people, wind up kind of throwing up their hands, but that kind of helplessness is also hard on children. So the things you can do to prepare are this. I think most of us need to prepare our children for our off-track moments. It's a really good idea to let your children know that you're trying really hard not to yell, or you're trying really hard not to spank, or you're trying really hard to be kind at all times. But that sometimes big feelings come up for you, and sometimes you don't act the way you want to. And so here's what you're going to do. And so you do a kind of a fire drill. So you gather your 2-year-old to your 7-year-old, or your 2-year-old to your 9-year-old, and you say, look, I'm really trying to be kind at all times, and if I can't, to be quiet until I can come back and be reasonable. But when I'm not, this is the deal. I'm going to say, I need to go to, and then you pick a room. I need to go to the garage, or I need to go to my bedroom. And then you bring your children along with you. Now, this is where I'm going to go. And you pick a wall, or you pick a spot where you're going to pound on the wall. Or you get one of those plastic bats, and you put it in your bedroom, and you say, I'm going to whack the bed, because that's going to help these feelings go away. So and then you show them how you're going to do it. You're going to go, and you whack the bed. Or you jump up and down and pound the wall and make big noise. When we get restimulated, we get sent back to feeling helpless, feeling at bay, feeling in danger, feeling like we have to fight our way out of a situation. And those feelings of helplessness are really good fodder for listening partnership time. But in the moment when you're just trying to get from this minute to the next minute without being hard on your children, one way to bring your system back to understanding that you're a grown-up and things are okay and you're not in that much danger is to make noise and be big and be really active. So you jump up and down, you pound on the wall, you hit the bed, and your children watch you do this, and then you go, okay, we're going to run through this again. You go back and you go, okay, now I'm starting to get mad. Here I go, and I'm going to go, oh, I need to go to the bedroom, and then I'm going to run in here. And you can do it playfully. You can do it with a really light tone. I'm going to run in here, and then I'm going to go, ah. Should I do it some more? Ah. How was that? And maybe your children can, they might laugh at you being so silly, or you hit the bed with the bat, but you do it in a very funny way. You go, I'm so mad. And you sort of do a light comic, version of you angry. So they can laugh and they can see what's going to happen. And then when you really do start getting mad, most likely they will help you. Most likely they'll say, Daddy, you need to go to the bed now. You need to use your bat, and you can close the door behind you or you can leave it open. But what you need is a place where you can remind your system that you're big. You can remind your system you're a grown-up. You're not at bay. You're not, trapped by wolves. These are your children, and you're feeling really bad right now for very old reasons. And yes, your children did trigger it, and yes, you are too alone, and yes, there is way too little help, but your children are not the problem. It's the lack of help, it's the isolation, it's the no one to talk to that's really the problem. So you can do a little fire drill and then use that as a way to recover your ability to think in the moment. Having a big cry, having a big laugh, that peels down the number of feelings that you have and the amount of pressure, emotional pressure that you experience. So that's actually the long-range better way to go. But in the moment, finding a hot spot in the house and creating that hot spot and helping your children know that they can tell you to go to that hot spot is one way to get them off of the firing line so that they're not hurt any more than is necessary. And a final strategy, which works for many parents, you can pick and try these out, which I particularly like, is the strategy of when you're hot under the collar and you don't know what to do and things are falling apart all around you and it's like you're ready to snap, lie down. I'm not going to demonstrate this here, but you just, wherever you are, you're on the front porch and you can't get the children in the car, just put your things down, put your wallet down, put down the things you were taking to someone, lie down, just lie there, spread your arms out. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to be in control of the situation. Stop trying. Just lie down. Your children are a mess. They don't know where they are. They're all off track. It's okay. You can't help them right now. If you can't think, you can't help. So lie down. And what will happen is that your relationship with your children will, the next moments might be bumpy. It's like they might be hard on each other. They might be running around not knowing what to do. You just say, I just have to lie down. I don't know what to do. I'll figure it out in a few minutes. And just lay there. They need to be in touch with you. They want to be in contact with you. So sooner or later, they're going to come around and find a fresh way to connect with you. And the way they find to connect with you might make you cry. Lying down might allow you to cry about how hard it gets. Actually, I pretty much expect that, lying down will make me cry. But when we put out this strategy on our discussion group online, the first mom who wrote in, who tried it right away, she said, I laid down and I couldn't stop laughing. Once I'd laid down, I just thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Here I am, I'm the mom in the family, I have no idea what to do, everything is going to hell around me, and I just started laughing and I couldn't stop. And she said after a few minutes, my children were coming around and seeing what was going on, and my husband started laughing too. And pretty soon we were just playing on the floor and things really turned around. So lying down gets you out of the position of responsibility for a moment. It lets other people reset their connection with you, children in particular. And it leaves room for you to feel what you're feeling rather than control the situation. And that's always a good thing.